Nararam Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Okay, text 38. Itam Nirling Nirtiryad Rishideva Jasavatarar Lokan Vivavasayasi Angsi Jagat Pratipan Dharmam Mahapurusha Ashi Yuganuvritram Chana Kalo Yad Abhavas Triyugota Satvam Itam Nitirya Grishideva Jasavatar Lokan Vibhavayasi Hamsi Jagat Pratipan Dharmam Mahapurusha Pashi Yuganuvrittam Janakalo Yad Abhavasti Yugo Tasatvam Okay, someone else. We have many. Everybody sounds like these movies. Itam Nitirya Grishideva Jasavatarai Lokan Vibhavayasi Hamsi Jagat Pratipan Dharma Maha Jana
Kaloyat Abhavasti Yugota Satvam
Savatarai.
A human being,
like a human being,
such as Lord Krishna and Lord Ramchandra. Tiryak, like animals, such as a boar. Rishi, as the great saint. Parashurama, Deva, as demigod. Jasa, as an aquatic, like the fish and the tortoise. Avatarai, by such different incarnations. Lokan, all the different planetary systems. Vibhavayasi, you protect. Hamsi, you sometimes kill. Jagat Pratipan, persons who have simply created trouble in this world.
Persons who can simply create trouble in this world.
Dharmam, the principles of religion.
The principles of religion.
Mahapurusha,
Mahapurusha,
O great personality.
O great personality.
Bashi, you protect.
You protect.
Yuga Anuvritam, according to the different millenniums.
According to the different millenniums.
Chana, covered. Kalo, in the age of Kali. Yat, since. Abhava, have been. And will be in the future. Triyuga, named Triyuga. Ata, therefore. Sa, the same personality. From you. Translation. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, my dear Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are known as Triyuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. These purports are the real treasure of the Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said they're his personal ecstasies. Anyone can translate these. Sometimes for Bhagavad Gita, he just, when there was confusion, he said, just use Dr. Radhakrishna's translation. But the purport, only Prabhupada could do. As the Lord appeared just to maintain Lord Brahma from the attack of Madhu and Kaitava, he also appeared to protect the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya appeared to protect the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. Therefore, there are 4 yugas, or millenniums, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. In all the yugas, but Kali Yuga, the Lord appears in various incarnations and asserts himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appears in Kali Yuga, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never asserted himself as such. On the contrary, whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as being as good as Krishna, He blocked his ears with his hands, denying his identity with Krishna, because he was playing the part of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya knew that in Kali Yuga there would be many bogus incarnations pretending to be the God, and therefore he avoided asserting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, in many Vedic literatures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11.5.32, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam. Repeat that. Sangopanga Saparshadam Yagyayar Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. You know what Sumedasa means?
No. Very intelligent.
Huh? Good brain substance, yeah. Sumeda, auspicious. In Kali Yuga, intelligent men worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always accompanied by his associates such as Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. The entire Krishna conscious movement is based on the principles of the Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one who tries to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the Sankirtan movement knows everything perfectly. He is Sumedas, a person with substantial intelligence. That's all of you, huh? Right? Then we have to be careful not to become proud, but special mercy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chaksura Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamala Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschachade Satani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tushe Namaha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate, Gopal Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurange, Radha Vishabha Vanchakalpa Churvischa, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha, Pachita Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope you'll all pray that Krishna will speak through me so you don't have to hear what I have on my mind. And a very auspicious time, and so many devotees all together. So the Sankirtan movement is spreading all over the world and is increasing. In spite of different diseases here and there, different skin diseases, right? The body is developing very nicely and expanding. So this is another verse actually where Lord Chaitanya is predicted. You have to kind of dig in to understand that, but saying it is known as Tri Yuga. That's what Sarvabhauma's argument when Gopinath Acharya was trying to tell him that Lord Chaitanya was Krishna, he said, no, there's no avatar in Kali Yuga, there's 3 yugas. That's known, because he didn't come, with the weapons and all the different, appearing as the Supreme Lord. But Lord Chaitanya did many times, reveal that he was Krishna, that, especially that, when he sat on the throne and, was telling everybody all about their past, and, he took the form of Varaha one time, he took the mood of Lord Nrsingadev. He got so angry seeing how fallen everyone. That time he picked up a club and he was roaring like Nrsingadev, and he actually went through the town and everybody was running away. They were so scared. The roar was so loud. Then he somehow calmed down, and then he felt bad. He said, I made an offense, I scared everybody. And then Shiva said, no, you blessed everybody. Anyone who saw you, they're all liberated. So he did occasionally reveal like that, but not in the same way. He was promising not to kill any demons. He was changing the mentality, fortunately for all of us. Prabhupada said if he had to kill everyone in Kali Yuga, then he should kill everyone. He had to kill all the demoniac people. So we're very fortunate. And we're here with Lord Nrsingadev. I was just reading this yesterday. Nrsingadev, Ramachandra, and Krishna, they're considered full incarnations. There's so many incarnations, some are partial, some are empowered. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is not an avatar, he's an avatari. He's Krishna himself fully. He's not just coming down and taking a different form, it's eternal form. But Nrsingadev is also very important. And here it says, Nrsingadev appeared to protect Prahlad, and others appeared for a specific purpose, but Lord Chaitanya appeared to protect all the fallen souls of the Kali Yuga. Very big job, because everybody's fallen. Kali Yuga, everyone is Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Everyone is born as Shudra, but they can change by the process of Bhakti Yoga. We have some foolish, I can't understand some, they say that men can be purified, but women still remain women. It's not Prabhupada's. We're not the body, we're spirit souls. People are getting very mixed up about that these days. I'm sure you've all heard that. When I came to America, it said gender on the immigration form, right? Male, female, what is it? Non-binary. Whatever that is. And sometimes it says other, and and they have many others, but I noticed here they didn't have that. But people are confused. They're understanding they're not the body, but they want to be a different body. You have to wait. It's like Prabhupada said, if you want to go to the moon, you have to change bodies. You have to die, and then you can take birth there. Otherwise, even if you could go there, what can you do? Prabhupada said it's 200 below zero, they say. So how can we live in these bodies? We can't tolerate this, whatever it is. Not even zero. So he came to protect the fallen souls, and it's by the Sankirtan movement. And those are his weapons. Not only the Panchatattva, but all the devotees, because Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya is included in Lord Chaitanya's. But the Panchatattvas especially, they're special. Lord Balaram, Advaita Acharyas, Mahavishnu, or Sadashiva, and Radharani, Gadadhar, and Narada Muni, and all the devotees following him. Narada Muni. So we're very familiar with this. We're all part of the Sankirtan movement. It means all devotees chanting together. Sankirtan, complete kirtan. The more the better. Prithu Maharaj, he was asked, offered benediction. The only benediction he asked was to always be with the devotees so he could hear the glories of the Lord all the time. Same thing Prahlad asked. Prithu even said if he had millions of years it would be better. Like Rupa Goswami said, the chant, that when you chant, it's so nectarine, you'd like to have millions of years so you could hear better. Of course, we have over 1,000 years, right? She said there's over 500 devotees here, and we have 500 mouths all chanting, so that's very good. The more the better. We want to make it bigger and bigger. We should get big audiences like, the mundane singing stars get hundreds of thousands of people sometimes, somehow or other. So the demoniac principles are very prominent. Meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. Kali is working very hard. He's actually panicked from a long time back. How would he function with Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement going on? Because, people that are chanting the holy name, they're not going to be influenced by Kali's agents of lust, anger, and greed, and intoxication, and gambling, and all those things. So we are very, very fortunate. Now, actually, every time I came here for this festival, I spoke on Jayananda Prabhu's disappearance day. Somehow, by Krishna's mercy, I had some association with Jayananda Prabhu. It's quite unforgettable. He was not, he's a very special devotee. Prabhupada favored him. He loved him very much. It was reciprocal. Like there's one video of Prabhupada arriving at the Rath Yatra, and they give him so many garlands, and he takes one big garland and he's like, "Where's Jayananda? Where's Jayananda?" So another time, Jayananda, when Prabhupada came, he usually wouldn't come in for the darshan. He'd say, "No, I'm not qualified," and he was too busy, cleaning the kitchen or something. And when Prabhupada said, "Where's Jayananda?" many times. And one time when he came in, he said, "Jayananda looks like Lord Chaitanya." Okay, he was very tall and he was very white and big. So he joined very early in San Francisco. He was different. He was about 28 years old at the time. So that was an old man. And he was a taxi driver. You see the pictures, he's got a little shirt and a little necktie. Very short hair. But somehow he got it back to Godhead, and he liked it, so he would stop by the temple and get some. He said, "I'd like to give these to my riders, And then so the second time Mukunda was there, and he said, "What are you guys doing anyway?" And I said, "About." He said, "Well, Prabhupada's upstairs. Why don't you go see him?" Those were the days. I was just reading Govinda Dasi's book, and same thing, She went and said, "I want to meet this man." And she had the picture on the back of Godhead. He said, "Well, he's upstairs." Well, they actually said, "Come tomorrow morning." And that was the way it was. And from then on, any time she could just go in. So he went up, talked to Prabhupada for a while, and surrendered. And then he was driving his taxi. He was the only devotee that was working. So Prabhupada made him the temple president. He was paying the rent. They said that's how it was. And, Brahmananda was paying the rent in New York, so he was the president. But Jayananda would drive the taxi all night. And then he would come, he would give a class, he would talk about the people in his taxi, all the crazy people. And then all day he would help the devotees. He was, you know, service attitude. Service attitude is the most important thing if we want to make spiritual advancement. So he had that like unlimitedly. He was fully Nirupati Vaishnava. He had no upai or anything. He didn't want it. He was temple president, but he said he didn't like it so much. Sometimes he'd have to chastise a devotee. So he stepped down, became the driver for the Sankirtan party. But he was always, you know, under the van, fixing the cars all day long, you know, while all the devotees were out on Sankirtan. He was taking out the garbage. One of my godbrothers, Kritagama Prabhu, he said, he went to the temple in the daytime and nobody was there, only Jayananda. Everybody was out. Everybody went out for Sankirtan then. So Jayananda said, oh, this was his preaching special style. Oh, I'm really glad you came. Can you help me? You know, like he was desperate for help. And so he said, sure, I'll help you. You know? And he was taking out the garbage. There were a lot of devotees in a small place, and so they hustling and hustling. But he said the whole time he was talking about Prabhupada, he was talking about Krishna. They drove to the dump, they dumped out all the garbage, they came back. And so he said, are you in charge here? And he said, no, I'm just a garbage man here. He never even told. But he would always just, that was the first, we were getting ready for building the Rath Yatra cart. I'm so glad you came, you know, can you help me? Can you hold this nail? And, you know, he said, well, you're really good at that, you know. See if so that was his first, you know, service sadhana. He cooked lots of prasad. But then he got in, he was actually a graduate engineer. That was the second Rath Yatra, and he was Mr. Rath Yatra. He said, after, when you think of the other people, his picture should be on every Rath Yatra. He had told him that go by when they get, make sure many people would see it. I was not initiated. I went to millions of pop, and then, but I don't have any tools with me because it took me up on a pile of lumber there, and a bunch. So I do it, you know, and I probably was one of the first times I really prayed in my life, and so I did it. You know, I had to dig out and build, and, you know, and somehow it was a big heavy wood, you know, and it was just sort of not. But somehow it survived, and I heard about him. He was around, he did lots. Everything, all the legal work, everything, markets, they loved him. More, the Americans could deal with that. A woman in some office, and they said, well, he's passed on, and she started crying. She said, oh, he was so great, he was so wonderful. So it's that type of, by himself, and whatever they wanted him to do, he would do. You might have heard about it. Now they would go to someone and say, Prabhu, Prabhu. And then he had a samosa or a laddu or something. He'd say, try this. So most of the devotees were even, but many were 16, 18. Like Gargamuni Prabhu, who was somehow conflicting, they would put, it would be all right. He would just lovingly, but he did it in a very loving way, bigger. Then, and they were finally, he saw him just like so much pain. He had these must don't tell anybody. After happened, first Rath Yatra, what? But at that time he was reaching out, please accept my obeisance, please humble. He remembered. Couldn't do any more guest, you know, why did you come? He had an inheritance of trying to heal your much better cancer treatment in America. And he went to Los Angeles, and he wanted to make Rath Yatra there. And Ramaswar was saying, no, it's too much, we can't. So he called up another devotee they need. So then they said a whole thing from the hospital, sending the hospital first thing he did after Godhead, distributing, and it was his birthday, I think, and surprise birthday party. He talked to Jayananda. In fact, he didn't even make it. It was 1977. History of his San Francisco, you know, and all that. Finally, he was last. Called Ramaswari, hurry up, you know, doors were opening, the conch shell was blowing. So I was saying, chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare. So then there's, said I was very proud to have a disciple. He was when you were driving. So like gone to the heavenly planets and there you can progress more. But then he said, no, you were listening to kirtan at the time of leaving the body. But that service attitude that he had, whatever they wanted, in the parking lots, he never wanted to read more, but like, what do you, did give class. Oh, there must be, there's so many better than me. See one Bhagavad Gita class that he gave, really so deep. So talk about Prahlad is talking, right? Ranikasipu, long when I'm ready. You have to do something. But for myself, all the stuff that's going on, you know, too much absorbed in, you know, everybody's service attitude or service. You know, he said he had, and he was beyond even what Prabhupada, you know, as soon as he mentioned the four regular, the most addicted to the unrev Lord Chaitanya, and Rosh's current temple. He's so accepted, this much higher, and he's right there, like you can almost touch him. And so all the children come there, because in Mayapur, if the children are in front of the altar, they can't see the deity. You know, with Prahlad. The demigods made beautiful poetry. That pacified him. They've offered him, you know, anything. He said, don't. Actually, the 28th verse that I looked at, that was where Prahlad said, you know, don't offer me anything, because I'm from a materialistic family and demonic. So we want the benediction. We can hear and chant about Krishna and about Prabhupada and about the great devotees. Hearing about the great devotees is equal, you know, to hearing about Krishna. That even Tamal Krishna, he said Jayananda is the most advanced. But, and who also was another devotee who, when he left his body, he was very much loved by everybody. And I said, he's one devotee like Jayananda. No one ever criticized him. And Gargamuni said, Jayananda never did anything wrong. You know, in service attitude and back and God. And he got those big, like the guys on ships wear, those rubber raincoats and plastic on the mridanga, and they would do Harinam, they would walk across the Golden Gate Bridge, things like that, go out in the rain. He loved everything about Krishna consciousness. Ratya, that was 74, or not nearby, a little far. You know, he would just find some hippie on the, and nobody saw him, you know, locking the doors, you know, taking care of everything. So he would come back and he would cook a big pot of halava and keep it on the site to feed the crew, to take back, sitting down for prasadam, and he would serve prasadam to the other devotees that were there. And then he would take the big load of prasadam back to his crew. He immediately volunteered to help in the kitchen. It was kirtan mela, but such so-called nectar things. So Jayananda was like that. He was always covered with grease, and somehow he was, we had those, in America, those dumpsters, I guess you had them here. So that, you know, a lot of trash. And he would like to climb up on it. One devotee said, let me do that, you know. He said, no, you want to take my service? You know, he actually enjoyed it. But he enjoyed the service. He didn't care for any kind of praise. Prabhupada asked him if he wanted to take sannyasis. He didn't want to. He said that would probably, you know, it would just be a distraction, too many honor and respect. And so he was genuine like that. He was, in the service. You know, when I first joined the movement, it's impossible, but, you know, they just only want to be with Prabhupada and have his picture taken with. Designed everything. We can try. Devotees at Nrsimha Tattva. It's mostly about Prahlad. Prahlad's prayer is extremely important. There's Radharani. They were Prahlad and Dhruva. If anybody can answer, I get asked. Speculate. Their service. I think that's one factor. He really appreciates. You know, they, like Vaikuntha, they're already there, you know, but Prahlad had to suffer and go through a lot, and Dhruva also, to get to the, you know, and to maintain their dedication and love. So, whatever reason, you know, it's important. So it's now other temple in Bali, and he has a full temple in his house. 3 big altars, you know, with all this Balinese wood carving, and he has a really big Nrsimhadev. So many small Nrsimhadevs. So he's going to build a special, but he's popular. Om Namo Bhagavate. Fingernails, not this long. It's quite big and very sharp. And the teeth are like thunderbolts. We've seen the last. Move these materialistic to then I can proceed fearless. Nrsimha Pali worship. That's what Prahlad is. You know, not kill the demon. No, get rid of these lusty desires. Terms of, you know, bodies. Sometimes in the airport they say you can go ahead and stuff. You know, somebody said, you know, let him sit down. I didn't really want to sit down because you had to sit on the plane for 6 hours. I'd have to accept it, but at least, you know, a few things, a few advantages to it. But senior devotee, too many people think I'm senior because, like, when I joined, even most of it, but now some devotees think, well, he's only been a devotee for 30 years. Most advanced, Dhruva, and to edify or fix it out as quick.
It's a question, not a comment.
Uh-oh.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, my obeisances, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I was wondering, a lila, is approaching, is there like a similar nursing temples? But is there...
Goloka, there, right? Pastimes he did take the mood. He was worshiping Nrsimhadev. So I don't know in Goloka if that's all the same in Navadvipa. I've never read anything about it. And when he went to Shiva's house and he was knocking on the door, what are you doing? What are you doing? The person, you know, the one you're worshiping is right here. Open the door. So he was revealing himself in different ways to different devotees. But then he would tell them, don't tell anybody. So it's an interesting question. It's one of the, but anyway, we're worshiping Lord Chaitanya in South India. He visited all the Nrsimhadev temples. You know, there's not so many temples of the other avatars. There are temples. Nrsimha temples, there's so many temples. And somebody had founded Murti on the beach, buried in the sand. Very old Murti. So even in Vrindavan, there's Nrsimha worship. And our devotees all arriving today. He didn't mention my favorite, Mahavishnu Swami. Someone asked me in Vrindavan, how can you develop attachment for the holy name? I said, at least you can see what it is. You know, you can't stop him. Even he broke his knee, he didn't stop. So, thank you very much. Nrsimhadev ki jai. He liked halava, but he loved to cook and he loved to eat prasadam. He could eat huge amounts late at night, still be the first one up in the morning. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Premananda. Nice to see you. Pounding away.